Okay, so let's do our first example here. Make sure you write all of this down. We're going to talk about how this rational function transformed from the parent rational function. So what I've already done here is marked our k and our h. Notice that h changes signs here so that I picked the correct direction. So I'm just referring to this h and k. So h is always your horizontal translation. So if we think about h switching to a negative, it's going to be in the left direction. So left 2 is one of our transformations. And I wrote in parentheses that that was because h was negative 2. Alright, so now our second transformation is down 3. And that's because k is negative 3, just kind of showing you why I know these values and what values they're coming from. Alright, so when we're shifting our functions, the easiest thing to shift first is going to be these asymptotes. So our horizontal asymptote was at y equals 0, and our vertical asymptote was at x equals 0. So when we shift left and right, we're just going to be shifting that vertical asymptote. When we shift up and down, we're going to shift that horizontal asymptote. So think about this parent function having a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0 and a vertical asymptote at x equals 0, and just moving those. Okay, so if we're going to do this left shift first, that's going to be over here. And so you think about what asymptote would be going through that axis, and that's going to be that vertical one. So that vertical one is going to shift to x equals negative 2. So notice how that changed. We'll go ahead and put our vertical asymptote there. It's not actually part of the graph, so I end up doing a dotted line just to show, we know it's there, but we don't draw it. Horizontal asymptote is going to be this one, so when we shift up or down, that is what will move. So now we're going to go down 3, so 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to draw my horizontal asymptote there, which is at y equals negative 3. So you should start to see a relationship between the horizontal and vertical asymptotes and the shifts left, right, up, down. Alright, so if we're unsure of what corners to draw our rational functions on, let's always go back to our calculator. So I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to graph this function, which is 1 divided by, notice I'm about to put the denominator in parentheses. I have to because there's more than one term down there. So it's going to be x plus 2, and then close the parentheses, and then minus 3. So make sure you're typing it in just like that. So make sure you're doing this with me. Alright, hit graph. And there we go. So we can really see that we've done a good job because it's very clear that there's going to be an asymptote right about negative 2 on the x and about negative 3 on the y, which is what we have here. So now I know where to draw my curves. So it's going to look like this. Okay? Alright, so now you've got a rough sketch of that. Let's talk about domain and range. So, domain for all rational functions will be all the real numbers, except you have to exclude the asymptote because the asymptote is where it never actually touched. So it's going to be x does not equal negative 2. Your range is your y values. So that can help you remember which asymptote to exclude. So y, so we look at the y one, which is your HA, your horizontal asymptote. It's going to be all real numbers, except we're going to exclude the y value of negative 3. And there's your domain and range. Thinking back to interval notation, you would write this as negative infinity to negative 2. Negative 2 to positive infinity, just kind of showing you how we're going to skip over that. So this is two separate ways of writing the same information. You can write all real numbers, comma, exclude this, or you can show the intervals in which it exists. So we'll do that for this one too. Negative infinity to negative 3, negative 3 to infinity. All right, and that's it. So if you're still writing something, definitely pause it because I'm going to move on here in a second. All right, I would like you to try this on your own. So starting out, let's just go ahead and talk about H here. H is 1 because I always end up changing the sign. So H is your horizontal shift, so shifting left and right. So if we're going 1, we're going to go right 1. So draw that asymptote. And then this, K, is 2. So we're going to go up 2. So pause this video now and start sketching in your asymptotes just like I did on the last one. And work from there.